You're watching Euronews now. I'm Takumbo Salako with your top stories. MEPs have picked Roberta Metsola to be the new president of the European Parliament. We'll have the latest from Strasbourg. Germany's foreign minister is in Moscow to persuade Russia there's a crucial role for Europe to play in talks over Ukraine's future. And we'll hear from the Russian film and theatre director Kirill Srebrennikov on his return to the spotlight after being given permission by the Kremlin to leave the country. Well, let's begin with that breaking news from Strasbourg. We can cross over there now to hear more about the election of Roberta Metsola. Our correspondent Gregory Laurie is standing by for us. Greg, good to see you there. Tell us, what do we know about Roberta Metsola?
So Roberta Metsola was elected after the first round, which is not a surprise. She was representing the EPP, the European People's Party, the largest political force in the House. Roberta Metsola will be the third female as president of the European Parliament. She's coming from Malta, so she's going to be the first Maltese president of the European Parliament. And as I said, her election wasn't a surprise because nor the Social Democrats nor the Liberals have presented a candidate for this election.
We also know that she's a Christian Democrat, but what can we expect in terms of her agenda and how she intends to lead Parliament?
So she will try to make the voice of the Parliament heard. She has allies at the Commission, of course, with the President Ursula von der Leyen, who's also from the Christian Democrat family. Her position is also the consequence of a consensus between the Christian Democrat, the Social Democrats and the Liberals. So she will have a window opportunity to make the voice of her house heard by other institutions. Of course, she will defend values that are important for the centre-right, on migration, of course, on social security, and that we will see in the coming month how she's going to bridge with the institutions and within the House with other political parties. But as it is often the case in European affairs, it is always a question of consensus. So she will try to widen the scope to get the consensus within her House, within the European Parliament, but also with other European institutions.
Gregory Laurie there from Strasbourg on the election of Roberta Metsola, who's now the new president of the European Parliament.
Russia has begun moving troops to Ukraine's northern neighbour Belarus for joint military exercises, a move that further strains relations with the West. The EU High Representative for Foreign Affairs, Josep Borrell, warned on Monday that Russia is seeking the de facto integration of eastern Ukraine into its territory through its massive military build-up from Crimea to Donbass. Visiting Ukraine, Germany's foreign minister said they're ready for serious dialogue with Russia, but will not compromise on basic principles. She's due to meet with her Russian counterpart on Tuesday. We'll do everything to guarantee Ukraine's security, and we'll do everything to guarantee Europe's security. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has rejected US allegations that Moscow is preparing a pretext to invade Ukraine, dismissing the claim as total disinformation. No doubt that Ukraine today is under the external control of the United States. A delegation of US senators is visiting Ukraine to emphasize Washington's support for the country and has threatened to impose crippling economic sanctions if Russia invades.
Novak Djokovic received a warm welcome when he returned to Serbia after Australia deported the world men's tennis #1. Djokovic, who is unvaccinated, left after his visa was cancelled on public interest grounds. Only fully vaccinated non-Australian travellers are allowed to enter the country. The 34-year-old had won 9 previous Australian Opens, and many Serbians were outraged by the Australian government's decision.
I'm So sorry about Nole, and I hope so that he played tennis on other tournament on Grand Slams like Roland Garros, and we send him all our love and positive energy.
I don't know his next steps. I hope that he will find a way to play at the other tournaments while having his freedom of choice to take the vaccine or not.
Now the question that's hanging over Djokovic is whether he will be allowed into future tournaments.
With this whole ordeal slowly coming to an end, the Serbian public is most interested in two things. One is Novak's next steps. Is he going to stay in Serbia and train or go to Spain? And second, what happens in the next tournaments? We already heard the news that Roland Garros organizers are considering excluding unvaccinated players, so everybody is eager to hear whether the problems for Novak are going to continue. From Belgrade for Euronews, Bojan Brkić.
New record high COVID-19 infections in Russia are raising fears of a storm of cases in coming weeks. The authorities are blaming the highly contagious Omicron strain and say it's too early to relax. On whether the Omicron variant will herald a shift from COVID-19 pandemic to endemic, the top medical advisor to the US President, Anthony Fauci, said it's too early to say.
It is an open question as to whether or not Omicron is going to be the live virus vaccination that everyone is hoping for, because you have such a great deal of variability with new variants emerging.
The pandemic was one of the main topics at the World Economic Forum's virtual Davos conference, where UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres urged business leaders to focus on vaccinating everybody against COVID-19.
The last 2 years have demonstrated a simple but brutal truth. If we leave anyone behind, in the end, we leave everyone behind. If we fail to vaccinate every person, we give rise to new variants that spread across borders and bring daily life and economies to a grinding halt.
Vaccination is becoming increasingly imperative in Europe, with Greece the latest country to require everyone to get the shot. People over the age of 60 who fail to get vaccinated will face monthly fines.
The world of theatre and film can breathe a sigh of relief after Russian director Kirill Serebrennikov, one of the most brilliant artists of his generation, was allowed to travel to Germany for a future art project.
We made the application for kind of officials, authorities. Please allow me to go to Hamburg for a work to make this possible, because I have the signed contract, and it will be probably better to have me here personally. And they just gave the permission for this project.
Serebrennikov was unable to attend Cannes in 2017, where his film Leto, a musical ode to youth and freedom, was in the official competition. He was accused of embezzling state subsidies while he was a director of a Moscow theater.
I'm a citizen of the culture. I live in this language, in this culture, in the theater, in this art. Love it a lot. I have a lot of friends in Russia, in Germany, in everywhere. So my dreams are still in Russia.
His latest film, Petrov's Flu, is an European co-production that was also selected for a competition at Cannes, but he was unable to leave Russia to present it. During his work on opera productions in both Hamburg and Zurich, the celebrated director is said to have sent instructions to singers and set designers on a USB stick through his lawyer.
Still lots more to come on the programme. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in a few moments.